Well, that was a lot of plot to take in all at once. Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant, and welcome back for more of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Last time, we made our way through the Gate of Time, reunited with Zelda, and learned that she was actually the goddess Hylia incarnate. And she's been sitting behind those double doors all these years to maintain the seal on Demise and the imprisoned. And today, we're probably be going back up to Skyloft for a few things. Some of which may be plot relevant, others which may not. And in that time, I'd like to explain a couple of things on how I feel about this part of the game, because it's a pretty controversial one for what it is. Not because of the gameplay, but just because of where it's located in the timeline. So by this point in a Zelda game, we've gone through 2 sets of dungeons, we've reunited with a character that we've been missing for a decent length of time, we learned a very heavy piece of information, and we're able to obtain the weapon that we need to defeat the final boss. And the fortune teller is not here. What's going on with the fortune teller, buddy? Oh, wouldn't that just be like a fortune teller, huh? So I guess we're gonna need to go help the fortune teller out. But pretty much every other 3D Zelda game has followed a similar pattern. You go through one set of dungeons, you reach a certain point in the plot, you go through another set of dungeons, you reach a major plot point, a real whatever, and I always forget which way it is to the fortune teller's house. It's probably down here. And after you go through that second set of dungeons and reach a plot reveal, you obtain the weapon that you need to complete the game, which in this case is the Master Sword that we have on our back. Is that your crystal ball? What happened to it? Well, that explains why you're not in the bazaar anymore. Oh, don't say that, Spirit. It'll be okay. You don't need a crystal ball. Maybe you do. Recently may not be true, but I did recover a piece of the windmill many months ago, it feels like. Was it really? Scrapper helped you? Alright, I'll go look for one. Hopefully it'll be in the same place as the propeller. Building atop a mountain peak. So we're talking about the Fire Temple? Or the not Fire Temple? Yes, let's go look for this Fi. I have no reason not to. There are going to be a number of other quests like this that we can't do yet, but they'll be coming up soon. Just can't do them at the same time, for whatever silly reason. So right, where was I? Most of the other 3D Zeldas have all, even some of the 2D ones, have conditioned us that when we get to this point in a game, we have one dungeon to go through, and then the final boss. And on top of that, you may remember... I don't know if I can actually show off my inventory from here, can I? I can. So we have the Master Sword, we have all of the items that we're going to pick up, all of the weapons that we have. We're only missing, like, one song, it looks like. But we have pretty much everything else. And on top of that, we have 19 1/4 hearts. So you may be thinking, we just have a couple more side quests or whatever to do, and then we have everything that we could possibly obtain in the entire game. So how much is left? What more can they possibly give us to do? It's at this point that you expect, give me one last dungeon, give me one last boss, and that's the game. But oddly enough, this game goes on for a little bit longer than that. I'm not sure what made them come to that decision, but it's something that at least me, when I first played through, had an issue with. Not because the part of the game that follows this is particularly irritating, or that it's repetitive. If anything, a lot of the aspects of the game that we've yet to go through are unique, that haven't been done in this game before, and at least offer a new feel than other Zelda games have done in the past. It's more an issue with the expectation that the player is set to expect. That we've gone through so many similar games before, we have an idea of what to expect when, and an expectation for when the game is coming to a close. And it's at this very point that the typical Zelda player would expect the game to be approaching its climax. So a lot of people who complain that this game is a little bit too long or that it overstays its welcome forget how long the other games are as well, especially at 100%. I mean, I've played through Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess all fairly recently, even for this very channel. And all of the playthroughs come out to be roughly the same time as we're at right now. Even factoring in what part of the game we have left, usually on my casual 100% playthroughs we reach about 25 to 30 hours, and that's where we'll be for this game too. So I don't think it's an issue with how long the game is, but more the fact that the player expects the game to be over by a certain point, and it just seems to drag on because it's not what they're expecting. That's not to say it's a good thing or a bad thing, just as it stands on its own. But it's difficult to break a mold like this, where you have a series that's been going on for 15 or 20 years, you want to do something different, but the player expects you to do something similar. So I'm not sure how they could have rectified this. If they inserted all of the additional pieces of the game we have left to go through between the dungeons that we've done, it might have felt like it took too long to go from dungeon to dungeon. But if they added additional dungeons, the game really would have dragged on for a bit longer than it should have. So it's difficult to say what they could have done, but I really do like some of the things they do next. So I just wanted to get that off of my chest before we pursue Endgame here. Because when I first went through, I was one of those people who was fully expecting the game to come to its close. And I wasn't very satisfied when it didn't. But having come to expect the end of the game as it is, I feel it's a lot more fun to go through, because I do appreciate what they do next. It's just the first time you play it through, you don't expect it to go on for so long. But all that said, we've made it back to Skyloft, we're back in the Academy, and the reason that we came back here was to see if anybody knew about the Triforce. Now, the headmaster was able to tell us about the song that Zelda knew, but I don't know if he's even aware that the Triforce exists. He's the only one here that might. Hopefully he can tell us something. Well, you are her father. She's fine. Just trust me. I do actually have a question. So you have heard of the Triforce? I'm here to find it. I had a feeling. That's okay. You got any leads for me, though? Anything else I can do? No? Alright. I guess we're on our own, then.
Hey.
Who would that be? Because they're obviously not here on Skyloft. You're the only one that knows all this stuff. Maybe? Sounds like someone I should talk to. Where is he? I've actually been inside it, but I doubt anyone else has, given the circumstances. That's not good. So I guess I'm talking to Alan next. That's perfectly understandable. Don't worry about it. I'll go talk to Alan. Thanks, Headmaster. And luckily for us, Alan, I believe, is immediately next door. So he's another guy we'll be doing something for shortly. You two know each other pretty well, don't you? What do you mean, not the Levy Oz you know? You say he was brainwashed? That's not good at all. We need him to tell us where the Triforce is. So is there anything I can do to help? Well, that doesn't sound like fun at all. Thanks for your help. You got it.
Hey.
Right. And how are we gonna do that? Finally, an upgrade to our flight? You don't even see this coming because our flying mechanics have been exactly the same throughout the entire game. And even to this point, after we get the spiral charge, we still fly exactly the same way. The only difference is our charge now does damage. And it's a little more difficult to control. So it seems a bit silly that we get something like this. And of course we have to go through another test to do it. But it does have an interesting use. So we have a bunch of targets spread throughout the area here, just like when we first learned how to fly. Actually, I'm not sure if we did a target thing before. We at least had some form of practice, so that's really all that matters. But the spiral charge is simple. Just press the A button, and you just charge through targets by striking them with your spiral charge. It's really fairly simple. So the key here is just having to wait for it to recharge. And you have plenty of time to get all the targets that you need to get. The thing is, you can plan out how you want to go through this place because you have more than 10 potential targets to hit. So just hit whichever ones are close by. And try to remember that when you're doing this, that the spiral charge does limit your mobility after you use it. So you have a couple of seconds where you don't have complete control over where you're going. But it makes flying around a little bit more fun, because it gives you an actual attack that you can use to hit stuff with. Not that there's much stuff to hit to begin with. I'm really bad at this, aren't I? Come right up against two targets and miss them both. So now that we were able to clear that, we finally get to use the spiral charge. Really? Well, I guess we're going to be off to the Lumpy Pumpkin now. I guess this is as good a launching platform as any to go from. So now we're off to the Lumpy Pumpkin to get an offering for Levy Oz. Hopefully he'll be able to tell us where we can drop it off and offer it to him so Levy Oz will actually speak to us. We haven't seen or heard anything about this Levy Oz. But hopefully the Pumpkin Dude has. And considering all the favors that we did for him to pay off the fact that he couldn't properly stabilize a chandelier to save his life, I think he should be in more than a good enough mood to help us. How long has this been here, by the way? How could you not know? Aren't you guys like best buddies? A whole basin full. How? That's a lot of pumpkins. Guy must be hungry. I guess it's a bit of a sticky situation to be in, isn't it? You want to deliver it, but it's too dangerous to go. I've done it before and I got some help. I'll be fine. That's the spirit. Mind if I get a taste? Never mind. Thank you, Fi. Going the wrong way again. Everlasting Rainbow. I think that's near the entrance, isn't it? That should make things easy. Yeah, but Scrapper, the easy way to go out is over here. You're aware of that, right? Actually, on second thought, how did you even get it outside the... you know what, never mind. Hi, Kina. How you doing?
Hi.
You're welcome. Aww. Well, I don't know, but I have a guess.
Whoa.
Alright, I'll do that. I don't think I'll be able to do it for a little while, but I'll do it. I just have to remember not to activate a similar side quest, because I have a set order in which I want to do the next couple of things we can do. And I tend to always get confused which one I want to do first at this point, so hopefully I'll remember to do Kina's thing first. But we have ourselves some pumpkin soup to deliver. So I'll meet you guys in the Thunderhead.